To take a few minutes of your time today. So thanks for tuning in, and just want you to know that we miss you, and Jacksonville's not the same without all of you, and can't wait till we get back to normal. But I am thankful for platforms like this that just allow us to talk about things that are going on, and even saying that we need to fight during this time when life does look a lot different. I'm excited. Like I said today, I just get to talk to y'all about something that I really have been feeling like I need to fight. So I'm excited to share just a little bit about what God's been teaching me over the past couple weeks. One thing that I've been learning is just that we can really be on a spectrum when we handle crisis. Some people just respond differently than we do, and I think the different spectrum that we can be on. We can, on the one hand, think that we just need to busy ourselves and distract ourselves from what's going on. Or on the other hand, we can withdraw. We can be lazy. We can just not want to do anything. And I think I've been on both ends of that spectrum. I've tried to busy myself with good things. And then I've also felt moments where I just haven't wanted to do anything over these past couple weeks. And so I was talking to a few of the girls, just asking them, why do we do this? Why do we become lazy and not do anything with our days? Or why do we busy ourselves and try to distract ourselves from what's going on from the other days? And I think practically, why do we run to Netflix? Why do we play video games? Why do we scroll through Instagram so much? And I think where we got was the root of it. We're focused on ourselves and what can instantly gratify us instead of being satisfied in the Lord. And I would say that we run to those because we don't believe that the circumstances that He has us in are good. So in order just to talk about, well, what do we do about that fact? I want us to look at a verse in Colossians. There we go. Wow. Okay, so let me read this for us. Colossians 3:1-4. If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on the things that are above, not on the things that are on the earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you will also appear with Him in glory. So the author of this letter is Paul, and he was addressing a church, and he was telling them that they were going to want to set their minds on the things of this world. He knew that they were going to be distracted, and that's why he knew he had to tell them, set your mind on Christ. But I think the next question was, what did Christ do? And we see in Colossians 1 what Christ did. He has delivered us from the domain of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of His beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. So this is what Christ did for us. This is what the church is all about, is this fact. But Paul knew there were going to be distractions, and that's why he told them, you have to fight to set your mind on Christ. So I think the next logical question is, well, why is it hard to set our mind on Christ? We've been saved, we've been redeemed, we believe in Jesus, we come to know Him. Why is it easy to get distracted? Why is it easy to be lazy? And I think the answer is because of sin. I think Paul knows that we are humans, and we have a brain like a goldfish and are going to go back to the same things over and over again. He knows how powerful sin is. Sin wants us to focus on ourselves. But what the gospel does is it frees us to focus on Christ. So I think sin leads us to laziness. We're lazy and idle when we focus on what can instantly gratify us and what can bring us comfort and what can bring us happiness. Honestly, it's easier to do nothing. Even over these next few weeks of online school for all of us, it would be so easy to be lazy spiritually, to check out, just to lay in our beds or watch Netflix all day, or to sleep a ton. But my question is, what is it worth it to get to the end of these next few weeks, and all we have to prove from them is all the shows that we've watched? Satan creeps into our hearts by laziness. It's good to rest and take a break. Don't get me wrong. And Netflix isn't a sin. Video games aren't a sin, but it's a sin to let our whole days be laziness. It's a sin to run to those things for satisfaction instead of God. So we have to fight. We have to fight to do our schoolwork. We have to fight to walk with God. Setting our minds on Christ is an active thing. Sin also affects us by just making us want to distract ourselves from what's going on. And personally, I think this is what I did last week. It was easier to not think about the fact that all of y'all are gone, that things are radically changing. It was easier to busy myself with things, to read more, to talk to more people, to plan more things for ministry, all things that are good things, but I was using them to ignore what was really going on in my heart. And I began to see that, and God really convicted me that I was just trying to busy myself to run from Him instead of coming before Him, and thinking about the circumstances that He's brought into my life. If we aren't setting our minds on Christ, we're running to things of this world. We run to comfort. We run to distraction. We run to people. It's so easy to run to everything except God. God knows how quick we are as humans to forget about Him and run to these things. So Paul tells us to set our minds on God. That doesn't mean that every part of our day has to be being spent doing something spiritual. That would be really crazy. And honestly, I would be pretty impressed if you could do that. But maybe ask yourself, is the majority of my day spent in laziness? Am I just trying to distract myself from what's going on? That might show you that you need to fight to set your heart on God. At the end of the day, I think it starts with praying that God would give us the desire to set our minds on Him and to be with Him. But I also would ask the question, are you fighting for time for God, with God? If I never talk to Wes or spend any time with him, I'm not going to feel like I'm married to him, even though that fact isn't going to change. The strength of our relationship changes when we're spending time together, enjoying one another, when I'm learning new things about him. Sometimes we can be so focused on our sin that we don't fight to focus on our relationship with Christ. But what's pretty incredible is God doesn't base our relationship with Christ on us coming to Him or what we did. It's based on what Colossians 1 says earlier. Jesus and the fact that He died and that His perfect life is what gives us a relationship with God. So what do we do in response? We confess our distractions, our lazy hearts, and we lay them at the foot of the cross, and we trust that what Jesus did was enough for our sin. So I think that's big picture. What do we do when we realize that we've been lazy or we've been distracted? We confess it to God. That's where it starts with. And I think that's the first step. But I also wanted to give y'all some practical steps of what you can do to fight to be with Christ, fight to set your mind on Him. So these are the practical tips. I think first and foremost, like I said, pray. Ask God to set your heart on Him. Next, you can read a psalm. Psalm 16, Psalm 23, Psalm 1. These are all psalms that are helpful just even in reading. It reminds us of who God is and that He wants us to come to Him. And then I think another thing you can do is you can call a friend. God has given us a community of people so that we can fight to be encouraged by them. He doesn't want us to do this life alone. He wants us to do it together. And then you also can listen to a sermon. We do have extra hours in the day. So listen to a sermon, read a new book, read some articles. If you go to desiringgod.com, you can look at different books and different sermons, and it could just be a good way for you to fight for time with the Lord over the next couple of weeks where things really are different. So the last thing, I just want to challenge us. Ask yourself, how have I been running to laziness or distracting myself these weeks? I want us to level the playing field. I'm assuming we all have done this at some point these past couple of weeks. I know I have. Our whole staff team has. And so ask yourself, where am I running to things of laziness? What are things that tempt me to not run to God, but to my comfort or my distraction? And then just second, what is one way you can fight to set your mind on Christ? What is one thing you can do this week to set your mind on Christ throughout your days? So we're thankful for y'all, and I hope this is helpful. And at the end of the day, I'm just praying that this time will be a time where we grow in our walk with the Lord throughout these crazy weeks. So we love you, and we miss you, and we're praying for you, and I hope y'all have a great day. So bye, guys.